The other day I did a video on how to find Land Rover oil leaks, and I was quite happy with that. I think we've covered most of it. I missed a few bits out, but I'll pick them up later on. But at the same time, later on in the day, the parts came in for the 130, so I decided to put the clutch back in and rebuild the transfer case, and I wanted to tidy up the casings that the last mechanic took the bottom cover off the LT230 and basically put silicone on, and it just looked like a lot of dog dirt everywhere. So I wanted to clean it up and tidy it up. So I drained the oil out and found out that he'd tightened it up with an air gun, this drain plug, and he was quite lucky he didn't snap it off, because these snap off quite easily, but he'd stripped the threads out, you see. So I've got that to helicoil today, which I'm not looking forward to, working under a car that's dripping oil. But it got me to thinking about washers, and copper washers, because this is one of the places where Land Rovers leak. But there is something very interesting I want to tell you later on. So first of all, a copper washer. Now in the old days, the good old days, we used to, and in industry, we used to just anneal them. We used to use them over and over again, providing they're not too worn out. This one's really worn. Look, it's not even round anymore, and it's hard. Look, I can just to say barely turn it or bend it. So what we used to do is annealing. Now to anneal copper and to use it again, you can warm it up, and matte gas is brilliant for doing this. This is like propane on steroids. Propane, in my opinion, is just for barbecues. So what we do, and this is why I'm doing this first, because I've got to let this cool down, and then I'll tell you the second part, which is important. So we're going to heat this up. We're not going to melt these sort of bits. We're going to get some heat into that. There you go, it's nice and cherry red. Now we put it to one side, and we move it across to a cooler bit, and we leave it. Because this is the important thing. When you buy gasket sets, invariably comes with a set of washers, be it aluminium or copper and rubber, in a little packet. This packet is from a Payne's gasket set. This packet, and you see it's unopened, I haven't tampered with this at all. This packet is from an aftermarket jobber kit from the UK. These are made in China. These are probably made in England or Germany. Doesn't really matter. What's the difference? And why Land Rovers leak? And why you spend so much time getting all frustrated and pulling your hair out. Take a magnet and run it over the gasket set, right? Run it over your gasket set like that. This is quite a strong magnet, alright? As you can see, because it's pulled all the grinding bits and pieces. So pull it over the gasket set, that's fine. With this one, look at that. Those are allegedly copper washers, and they stick. Now the only one that's not sticking is that one, look. But for some reason, those are sticking. I found this out a few years ago, and this is why I stay well clear of jobber or aftermarket parts, not unless it's OEM stuff. Even when I was preparing this video, whenever I get packets like this, they're no good, so I put the washers in individual boxes like this, so I can just go and get a washer out. And I write the part numbers on the top so I know which one's which. Get your magnet. Run it around in your washers. Look at that. That's not one. You see, that's got stuck onto it. But those two are steel. Very discouraging, because they look identical to that, and you can't tell the weight. That's the problem. You can't tell the weight. So when you're doing a job, say for example you're doing a banjo bolt on a fuel filter, and you open your packet and think, oh great, I'll put some new washers on, and you're tightening it down and it leaks a bit, so you tighten it a bit more, and then you'll get something like this, the threads will strip, and you can't understand why. Hey look, I've just put new washers in, it's leaking. Well, when there's steel like this, you might as well not bother at all, you might as well just throw them away and just use ordinary regular washers, but you wouldn't use regular washers, would you? So that's the problem. It's just, things are cheap, and they're cheap for a reason. They're no good. But if you anneal your old washers, then they've got a chance of living again. Now sometimes washers and copper washers, especially on fuel lines where you've got suction from your fuel pump, and then you've got suction or whatever through your fuel filter, it depends which side the pump it's on. They can leak but suck air in but not leak fuel out. Now I've seen that many a time. And again, all you have to do is take the washers out and warm them up and cool them down, and they will be nice again. And why do we do that? Well, the molecules inside this copper, when it's hard, are all nicely boxed in tight together. But when you warm them up, they become free and soft and cool, you know, like the cool guys. But I'm just going to leave that cool down a bit more because it's still a bit warm. But you, like I say, on fuel filters and things like this, if the washer's hard, it can actually suck air in but not let fuel out. So how do we find that out? How do we find that? That's a really difficult one, mate. So what I make is these things. They're really primitive. But we put a bit of, we put these gas caps on. They're only tyre valves. Sometimes you have to weld a little washer on. Sometimes you have to play around with them a little bit, but and I put a little clip around there to stop it being pushed in. But you only want about 5 psi into this, so you need a regulator. You can't put 120 pounds into your tank, it will blow up. But by putting these in, screwing it down, putting a little bit of air in, you'll be surprised how you can find air leaks. Now I principally use these for bleeding diesels through, instead of trying to get all frustrated and get the cam in the right place so the lift pump lifts up and you can't find it and you're kicking your dog and you're getting all frustrated. By making something like this and putting it in your tank, a little bit of compressed air down, open the bleed screw, boom, off you go. You don't even have to touch your lift pump. It'll bleed it through itself. So that's a good little thing you could make. Another top tip. So going back to this, yeah, that's cooled down now. Now, you're going to be surprised at this. Look at that. Look how you can bend that washer. Look at it. But this is the even better bit. If you hammer it, like that's a simulated tightening up, it goes hard again. It goes really hard. But warm it up, it'll come soft again. Now obviously I can't use that because it's oval now. But if you just, because I've been hammering it, but if you just take a washer off nicely, and providing it's not damaged, and I don't think you can see off this one because my camera doesn't pick up very well, but this has got a recess in. Now this isn't really used again, it's not really worth it, put a new one on. You'll be alright, because when copper's soft, it will form itself between, say for example, an injector nozzle and the cylinder head. The machining isn't always perfect, so that's why it's soft. It will make like a gasket seal, a compressible seal, and it'll be fine. And it's surprising how many lads I've seen come in here with leaking injectors and leaking pipes and things like this. So, mate, we've got new copper washers on, we put new washers on. And I'm saying, yes, I know you did, but you put, they're steel, they're no good. So that's one thing to watch out for, and it's really, I mean, I do say it's really important, but it is really important. You can save a few quid, and we all need a bit of beer money, but sometimes it's false economy. So I'd rather use the old ones again than put these things on. Those are an absolute waste of time. But you've got to watch out for them. You've really got to watch out for them. I was going to say there's some washers that you can't use again. Don't know if you can see this one. This one here is copper and it's folded over like a gasket material inside, and once it compresses, you can't use it again. And you can't really see, there's a little ring inside there, but it's enveloped over, it's wrapped around, so you can't use those again. So be careful. Another ones you can't really use again are these newfangled things. If you can see, they're like rolled into a thread, and they screw on the pipe, on the sump plug or whatever. You can tell them because they've got a little notch in there, and they're getting very, very popular now. You know, there's all different types. You see, there's another one. You just have to look at them because they're like crushed over. But if it's a solid old washer, like that one, a good old washer like that, you can use those forever and a day, providing they're not damaged. So there's a little tip for you. I'll put some links in the top about the last video for oil leaks, but just watch out for that. Honestly, watch out for it. And if in doubt, get your magnet out and go around things. I've lost my magnet now. Where's it gone? Oh, there's it. When you're going to buy a gasket set, take a little magnet with you and just go over it. And if it does this, reject it. I'm not having that. I'd be surprised. And it's not just with Land Rovers, it's with everything. Because these sets are made in China. These sets are made in Germany or England, and they're a lot better quality. And time's money. You know, what you'll save in a few pence, you'll waste trying to repair things. Because, like I said, the last thing you want are stripped threads or broken bolts. So just be careful of that.